Raider! Oakland, LA, Oakland, Vegas, Raider Nation, wherever, forever! You got your old Uncle Mosh and Raiders Fan Radio from Murf's Man Cave, taking a lighter journey into the dark side. Sit back, put your feet up, pop a top, and enjoy the ride. Here we go!
Look left, look right, Bolitnikov, a leaping top, touchdown!
We miss you, we love you, and we'll see you in the Hall of Fame.
When you have great coaches, then after you have great coaches, you get great players, you have a great organization, and you tell them one thing, just win, baby.
Way up the middle, intercepted Filipiano at the 50, time running down, Oakland football, and I think Oakland victory.
The Oakland Raiders have scored on the most zany, unbelievable, absolutely impossible dream of a play. Well, I love this team. I think this team can win.
What is up, Raider Nation? Your buddy Murf back once again for another fantastic interview here, an RFR conversation on Raiders Fan Radio. And this time it's a little different because it's a conversation with ourselves. Our buddy Mikey, who those of you that are familiar with our network and are just familiar with Mikey's channel, Raider Central or now On Air Nation, Mikey does an interview series called Inside the Raider Nation, and he asked myself and my Uncle Mosh, our co-host here at Raiders Fan Radio, to join him on his episode of Inside the Raider Nation, and we gladly accepted the invite and joined him. This was last year. This was in November of 2018, and I had a lot of fun, man. It was kind of like our origin story, I guess. We did a lot of discussing of our Raider fandom. We talked a little bit about the current state of the Raiders, but Mikey even put us through a little bit of a newlywed game kind of segment. It was really fun. It's about an hour long, and I think you'll get a big kick out of it. And since we're kind of going every other week with RFR proper, I figured this would be a good time to get this to you all. And so definitely check it out, and I hope you enjoy it. And also, if you are interested in helping support the Bolitnikov Foundation and also, of course, Raiders Fan Radio, you can do that by buying one of our new Get Made t-shirts. You can find that at RaidersFanRadio.com/t-shirts, no hyphen, just t-shirts. Then go ahead and buy one of those shirts, and I'll ship it to you. And all the proceeds, 100% of the proceeds, is going to the Bolitnikov Foundation. Our goal is to raise $2,000 to give to the Bolitnikov Foundation this year on behalf of the RFR listening audience. And so we appreciate the support that you guys give us and allow us to be able to gift them with this donation. So that's what we're looking forward to. We're working to earn that $2,000 and then donate again at the end of the year. So appreciate your help in us doing that. All right, here's the interview with Mikey, and we'll see you guys next week for episode number 130 of Raiders Fan Radio.
All right, today's Inside the Raider Nation. Well, we got a fan favorite that many of you know already, Murf from Raiders Fan Radio, but they are a duo. That's right, we got Uncle Mosh and Murf, the comedic genius duo from Raiders Fan Radio. They do podcasts, and their chemistry is fun, and you're going to see some of it here on Inside the Raider Nation. Let's get right into it. This is Inside the Raider Nation, the interviews, and now let's meet Raiders Fan Radio. Oh, my God, is he killing him? What is going on? I think I came in the wrong spot. Uncle Mosh, introduce yourself, Uncle Mosh.
Hey, Raider Nation!
Is that your best AM voice?
Yeah, it's okay. So I went AM voice right off the bat.
They are Raider hosts. They are Raider podcast
Thank
hosts.
you so much for having us here. I wouldn't be on your show if it wasn't for my nephew. My nephew, Murf, right here to my right, born and raised and died in the wool Raider fan. Didn't take me long to say, hey, you're doing a podcast. I want in. And all we had to do was give Sonny the boot. No, that's a joke. My other nephew, his cousin, they started this, 5, 6, 7 years ago, whatever it was. I started cutting commercials for him, and Sonny's life just got so crazy, and he's with jobs and more kids, and keeping the family name alive, and well, he had to go do his part and raise those youngins, right? And so I had to do my part and step in, and now I'm his Robin to his Batman, or his Shield to his Captain America, whatever it is.
All right. So let's bring it mainstream. Let's explain what you do really quick. Then we can talk about how you guys met and everything. So they are Raiders Fan Radio, and introduce yourself. Just give a wave so people know who Uncle Mosh is.
That would be me, the big guy in the blue. That's me, right here.
Then Murf.
My team and I always had trouble managing our tasks until one of my colleagues found Monday.com. You can see.
That would be me. That's right. Oh, here we go with this hand here. Now you can see me wave. Yes, I'm Murf. I'm the proprietor of Murf's Fan Cave and the wonderful shows you can find on the Murf Fan Cave
wonderful
Network,
shows
like Raiders Fan Radio, Mondays with Mikey and Murf, and the Fan Club Blitz
with Splatterhead and Fitz.
So there it is, Murf. You're pretty good at explaining it. Explain Raiders Fan Radio as well as possible.
Yeah, so Raiders Fan Radio is a show that, as Mosh mentioned, I started with his other nephew, my cousin, Sonny, who is a huge Raiders fan. We started podcasting together way back in 2012. We started off doing shows about Madden football. We're big Madden gamers. We started off doing that, then transitioned into the Raiders and a few other things. We did sports Dagos, which was a sports show as an overall, but ultimately we came back to where we live a lot of the time, and that's in Raider Nation, and it's what our passion is, it's what our love is. And so Sonny and I started doing Raiders Fan Radio almost 3 years ago, and then as Mosh mentioned, also Sonny had to take a hiatus, and so Mosh stepped in, and so now we've been doing this together for going on a year now.
Yeah.
And it's been awesome, man. It's been great. Raiders Fan Radio, you can find us anywhere you can find podcasts, and especially here on YouTube as well. Just look for Murf's Fan Cave. That's Murf's Fan Cave there. We're on the YouTubes, and thankfully to you, Mikey, for introducing us to the whole idea of live streaming and doing YouTubes, because we were just an audio-only podcast for a long, long time.
I mean, how could the world not want to see your faces? I mean, Uncle Mosh looks like, good old, dear old grandpa, the amazing man that'll take care of us and all that. So you guys are actually over 100 episodes in. Can each one of you tell me your favorite memory or favorite episode that stands in your head?
Oh, I got one.
Go ahead. You go first.
Well, I'm looking for. We've now had 105 episodes as of tonight. We're going to do number 105, and last year we started a new tradition in that we did our show is Raiders Fan Radio, so we did an award show and we called it the Fannies. And so Uncle Mosh did. Although he wasn't a full-time co-host of the show at the time, he did all these amazing voiceovers where we gave awards out to not only members of Raider Nation but to the team. And it's all a goof. It's all tongue in cheek. It's all a lot of fun. And we had a really good time doing the Fannies. And so we'll have that coming up soon, right after the regular season is over.
Yep.
And looking forward to doing that with Mosh live this year, the Fanny Awards. I would say that's my favorite episode so far.
And that's one of my top 5 as well. We love our whole idea behind what we do, and we call it our rebranding. So for lack of better terms, we are a fan-based radio and a program, and if it wasn't for the fans, we wouldn't exist in the format that we have. We like to have fun. We like to hear from the folks. We spend a lot of time on our Sea of Fans mailbag. That's when we get feedback from it. Feedback. You can tell I'm the big eater in the family, always with the feedback. Yeah, baby. Feedback from folks. But when we get together and we write, and we write bits and we bring in people and we spoof on people, that's probably my favorite stuff. So I would say our Halloween show that we did recently, we decorated our studio. I wrote a song and Murf performed it. And we brought in the family to play it and sing background, and it was a huge family affair for us, and it was great, and we just had a blast, and we were and his wife did his makeup, and that's okay. We're okay with that. But we had a
It was
blast.
Halloween makeup. It was.
Oh yeah. No, it wasn't like normally.
Yeah, it wasn't like when she does my eyeshadow before.
Yeah,
I do my
no.
Murf.
Yeah, I caught a piece of that special, and that's one reason why I'm very proud to work with Murf on Mondays with Mike and Murf. But your comedic duo has brought positivity in my life where it's negative. Thank you, John Gruden and the rest of the Raiders organization. Let's be honest, but I enjoy watching you guys, and I heard the Uncle Mosh song, and that became one of my favorites because you guys treat the holidays as a special time to also, do a special and have decorations and all that. And it just makes me proud that you guys are entertaining as well.
Well, thank you. And we love to create.
Yes.
We're both creative. We've done shows together, stage shows. We've done, Josh, Murf has loaned me props 10, 12 years ago,
Yes.
and I still haven't
got it
returned.
back yet.
But I put them in every show that I do. So, we love to create, and that's part of, I think, what our chemistry, why it works, because we just oh, that works, that's a goof, that's fun, okay, and we tweak this. And so a lot of ego stuff doesn't get involved in other comedy duos, because we just know that we're going to go for the laugh, and if it works, it works. If it doesn't, it doesn't. That's okay. There's always next week.
That's exactly right.
Because there's nobody that can take us off the air.
That's right.
You know?
You can't get canceled on YouTube unless unless you're Raider Central. Unless you're Raider Central and you have logos, you can't get canceled on YouTube. Let's introduce yourself in terms of your real life real quick. Then we're going to get into both of your fandom, because that's what we're really here to talk about. But what do you do as a job, a career? Can I ask you that, Uncle Mosh and Murf?
I'm a lifelong educator, lifelong coach. I was one of those guys that I took that summer off after high school, and it lasted 10 years. And I joined the military and got married and had kids and got married again and did some stuff. I worked for the post office and finally decided I was gonna check in and check out at the time clock and check in at school. And was a 28-year-old freshman and decided to get my degree in teaching and do what I love, and that's theater. And so I've been a theater teacher since 1992. I'll be 60 next month. In December, 2 days before Christmas. And, I love what I do. I've got enough years in to retire, and I keep saying, well, what would I do? I would just be doing theater somewhere for free. So I might as well stay where I'm at and do it and get paid.
Is that why you're so dramatic, Uncle Mosh? Because you're a theater teacher? Is that why you're so dramatic?
I really didn't know I was dramatic, Mikey. But,
Are you an international thespian?
I'm president of the Educational Theater Association, which is part of the International Thespians for the state of Tennessee. And yes, I am. I'm a proud member of Troop 5760 here in the state of Tennessee. And that's about it. I love what I do. I love to educate the masses, mold the minds of America's youth, and get them on the path to the straight and narrow.
I really can't wait to meet a woman that's an international thespian. I want to meet a woman that's an international thespian.
So here's what you're doing is you're going in the direction where I can't share this with my kids. So thank you for that one.
No, they won't get it. I went around that joke.
They're high school kids, Mikey.
They are high school kids, buddy. I'm telling you, they get more than we do.
There's always next week.
That's right.
All right, Murf, what do you do for a living, besides loving the Raiders in your fandom?
So, like Uncle Mosh did, I took a little bit of a hiatus after high school that only lasted until my 40s. And then I returned to school, and I've actually become a degree certified in leadership studies and applied leadership of organizations. And I try to bring a little bit of what I've learned in school to the Raiders, and to when we look at the team and when we examine them as an organization and try to understand what they do and why they do it and who does what and why I try to look at it from a more of a textbook understanding as far as the what applied leadership looks like in an organization in order to enable that organization's success. So that's kind of what I've done. That also fits into quite a bit of what I do in my career. I work in sales for a big company, and it definitely the people portion of leadership and how that applies is definitely the passion of of what I do in terms of what I do for a living. So
the thing about what we do is we both enjoy our jobs. And, you know, I don't remember who said it, but somebody said, if you enjoy what you do, you'll never work a day in your life. So we're two of those guys that are, and we've both worked at places that sucked, that we hated.
Oh yeah.
So, you know, and we
I was in the bar and restaurant business for a long
and
time.
there's a lot of ledges. I had to talk him off. And especially around holidays when you had to go in.
Yeah.
So we know what it's like to work in a situation that just blows, man, that you just hate. And so we are both incredibly blessed to be in jobs that pay the bills and provide a comfortable living and doing something that we really, really like to do. And I think that's part of the appeal about Raiders Fan Radio is that we really like to do this. And like you said, we don't call ourselves comedians, and Josh is Murf is a host. I'm a co-host. You know, I tell people, what do you do on your podcast? I'm a sidekick. I'm okay with that.
Which is funny because in real life, he's the patriarch of our family. He's the guy that's the head of the family. You're the head of the family.
Hey, you don't
We're
want it
Sicilian.
on the TV. You don't want to tell folks.
What did I tell
Sicilian.
you, Raider Nation, about their comedic duo? And hey, Uncle Mosh, no shame in your game. I've been a sidekick my entire life without an actual partner. So, figure that one out. All right, let's get into the fun times. Let's find out about your 100% Raider fandom, how you became Raiders and all that good stuff. This is kind of rapid fire, but it's going to be fun. Let's get right into it. Whoever can answer first, and then the other one can go after. But when did you first...
Stop it. I've told you about that.
When did you first realize you were a Raider?
1976.
Beat me to it.
Can't help it. I'm sitting on a couch.
I need a buzzer. You get a point.
1976. I'm sitting on a couch with his dad, his uncle, my brother, his dad, and his dad's brother, my brother-in-law, the whole family. And it's 1976. We watched every game. What a year. I think at 16, 17 years old, whatever I was, my first man crush on Otis Sistrunk. Number 60, the University of Mars. Come on. And just, I can just go on and on and on. Those guys, Pete Benezak, Mark Van Egan, just the names. Go to Wikipedia or something. Can I say Wikipedia? Go to something and look up the names of the guys that were on the Raiders on that year, 1976, that 16-1 year. Unbelievable. And it's just, how could you not? This was before jerseys. The only person that had a Raider jersey was your uncle, was Murf, your namesake. He was the only one that had a jersey because, it wasn't a thing. You didn't go out and get jerseys. We toasted many of those jerseys. That's where I learned to shotgun beer. We did stuff, and it was just, it was like Saturday nights you're up late. I was living with his other uncle at the time. I'd moved out in the 10th grade. I'd moved in with him, and so we're two bachelors. We had another roommate who we abused, and we'd be out late, 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning on Saturdays, but everybody was up at noon. And for the Raider game, hungover or not, man.
I was 1 year old. The only thing I remember is going Baba, which meant bottle. Baba.
Mikey, I was doing that at 17, going Baba. Yeah, no, I'm with you. But it was that year. It was 1976, and we laugh because there were times when his dad would come over to watch the games, or we'd go to his house, and he was 2, and we were just passing him around, and he's sitting on our laps, and he's doing it. So that was the magic, man. That was that year, and I think that's one of the reasons that we like to flash back a lot.
That is such a 70s term. It was magic, man. Murf, how did you become a Raider?
I just told you.
Yeah, it was by birth for me. We grew up in the South Bay of the Bay Area in California, in San Jose, and San Jose is it's, at least at the time that I grew up, it was a little more split than maybe than what it is now, where it seems like it's kind of very heavy 49ers based now. But anyways, so it was a little more split. You're either a Niner fan or you're a Raider fan. You're either an A's fan or you're a Giants fan. But growing up around these guys, and not only my uncles and my dad were by far the biggest influencer in my life, and my uncles were like rock stars to me in real life, like tangible rock stars. And then the Raiders of those eras, they were like my superheroes, more so than even like comic books were to me or anything like that at the time, or even movie stars. It was the Mad Stork, Kick Him in the Head Ted, Foo, Assassin, Snake, Twos, the Man from Mars, as Mosh mentioned. It was all those guys. Those guys were kind of like my superheroes. So as long as I was old enough to know the Raiders were a thing, I was automatically a Raiders fan because I was watching these guys on TV, and then these guys, my uncles, were telling me stories about them. And before the Snake book came out, and before Badasses and the Al Davis book, and before all that stuff came out, all those stories of training camp, of Ted Hendricks riding in on a horse, and you know what I mean, all that stuff, all came from these guys. So I'm listening to them tell me stories about the Raiders off the field as we're watching them then on the field. And and they were so good back then, and just the to a kid, the pirate. And
were you
the
guys
colors.
both in the Oakland area at that time?
Yeah,
San Jose, Campbell, that area, right in.
Yeah. That's where we grew up and spent a majority of our lives there. We moved out at different times. Uncle Mosh left the Bay Area before I did, but ultimately, that's where our fandom was kind of formed. And so so as long as I was old enough to know the Raiders were a thing, I was a fan. And my first real memory of like really having pride as a Raider fan was that Marcus Allen run, January 22nd, 1984, at the Rose Bowl down there. Marcus Allen running with the night, as John Facenda famously says. I remember watching that as a kid. Not quite 11 years old.
Was that not the Super Bowl? Was that not 83, the Super Bowl? Yeah, you said 84, but
yeah, it was played on January 22nd, 1984.
That's right. You know what? Uh-huh. That's how it works with the Super Bowl. It's like the next year, but it's still 83.
It's always confusing, with the season and the year. But yeah, watching that play and watching that team, and it was because there was some leftovers of those 70s teams. It was still Shell and Upshaw, but then there was the new guys. There was the Howie Long and of the world, and growing up it was always Casper at tight end, but now we had Christensen, and it was just such a cool moment as a Raider fan. And sadly, it was one of the last cool moments we've had.
And let me interject something. So I don't know if you know this or not, Mikey, but we come by this naturally because we were born and raised in that area, and we laugh and we kid, and Murf says, "Oh, it's in my blood," because they passed me around at Raiders games and they told stories. But we actually have a blood connection to the Raiders. Our great uncle went to James Lick High School in San Jose and played football and was the center, and he was center for the one and only Jim Plunkett.
I didn't know that.
Oh, yeah. Look it up. Look it up.
105 episodes, and you're waiting until
that's what I'm saying. What's going on, Uncle Mosh?
I'm saving it for Mikey.
Uncle Mosh is holding out information. Tell me.
He's always liked you better, Mikey. I hear about it every freaking week.
Everybody loves Mikey Raider. All right, let's get into it. Uncle Mosh, who is your favorite all-time Raider player?
Otis Sistrunk.
All right, Murf, who's your all-time? Go.
Unabashed. Otis Sistrunk. I don't know if it was just his monster size and his look and his bald head and his answer that he went to the University of Mars. I just love that guy. I just love it. Number 60 is still my favorite number. It's great.
All right, Murf, who's your favorite all-time player?
Kenny the Snake Stabler, by far. And it's evolved over the years. I have different players that I like depending on the era. So I go from like Kenny to Howie Long to Charles Woodson, to now, I don't know,
Well, and we talk about eras like the L.A. era. Mine, of course, is Pete Cox because we have the same hair.
Same hair.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, absolutely. But so definitely Kenny the Snake Stabler by far. I think he epitomizes what it is to be a Raider more so than anybody, and kind of invented what it meant to be a Raider. Other than Al, Kenny invented what it meant to be a Raider as a player.
What's your first game, each one of you? What's your first live game that you went to?
Well, my first time to the Oakland Coliseum was actually in utero. They went to the World Series in 1972. My mom was pregnant with me, and so I was literally in the Coliseum.
You pulled out a pregnancy game where you don't even realize you're in a bowl of liquid, and you're like, "That was my first game." That's what I mean. So like, literally, as long as I've known they were a thing in Oakland Coliseum and the A's, and I was there. But as far as like, I'll tell you what. The first one I remember with Mosh, because we didn't go to games together because he had left California before I did, and when I was living there and growing up, a lot of times they were in Los Angeles. Sure. So the Raiders weren't even there. So my first NFL game was a freaking Niner game. Don't hold that against me. But the first one we went to together was that now we both live in Middle Tennessee, and we went to a game. It was a
Monday night.
A Monday night. It was like a Christmas Eve.
Yeah.
It was Raiders Titans. And this is like 03, I want to say, 02 maybe. Like, this is when they were both really good.
Yeah.
And it was so funny. We had a great time. Game was awesome.
We tried to do everything we could to get on camera.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And we knew everything. Had Raider Santa hats on.
We were Raidered out,
Absolutely. Man. And it was funny. So we're leaving the game. We're walking down the concourse down there from Philadelphia Coliseum, and a fight breaks out in front of us. And so Mosh and I, without even saying anything to one another, I grab one guy, he grabs the other, and we get them apart. And so we're kind of looking at each other, and we're like, all right, are these guys going to keep going? Because if they're going to keep going, then we got our work cut out for us.
Yeah,
exactly. We were ready to clock in, but they stopped. And so they kind of, whatever. They
went their ways, yeah.
But it was so funny because then everybody, we're talking like a packed concourse, like thousands of people. And everybody started laughing. They were like, what a day in Tennessee when the two Raider fans are the ones that
two Raider fans break up a fight between two Titan fans.
Exactly,
yeah. We used to in the day.
So tell about the beer.
We could take. You could, if you wanted to, at Oakland Alameda County Coliseum, you could take in your own beer. So we would go and buy like.
As long as it was in a plastic.
As long as it was in a plastic container, so you'd get 40s or whatever, and you'd pour them into a gallon jug, a gallon or two, and you could take those in. So the people walking up the gangplanks there were all carrying milk jugs full of beer. And if it was a hot day, if it was a long day, by the third inning, that stuff is hot, man, and it's just nasty and it's flat, and you're saving a ton of money.
That's the magic error. That is the magic error.
Hey, so I got one for you. My favorite story of these guys going to the Oakland Coliseum, and you notice a lot of our stories have to do with baseball because there was just many more of them.
There's like 95 games of baseball every year.
So,
oh yeah,
exactly. So
and you could get cheap tickets.
So these guys they're at a World Series game, and my uncle Murf, my dad's youngest brother. That's where I got my name, Murf. It's why I used the moniker Murf. He's since passed. Been one of the huge formers of my Raider fandom. So to honor him, at Mosh's idea, I took the name Murf. So anyway, so Murf, and then Uncle Mosh's older brother, Bruz, the other guy that helped form my Raider fandom. So they're at this game. So it's a World Series game, I think it is, and they're up in the.
We were the 300 section, very top,
way up there at the Oakland Coliseum. They're drinking their gallon jugs of beer. They get to the end, and the A's won the game. And
A's won the game, yeah. And Murf stood up to scream, yes!
And Bruzzy goes, bam, and smacks him on the back just out of excitement.
Yeah.
And Murphy goes tumbling down like 4 seats and lands in this lady's lap. And he gets up and he's completely freaked out that he's rolled over and fell over like 4 seats. So he gets up and he just takes off running. And like he's gone. And like no one knows where Murf is at. So the game's over. Everybody makes their way out of the Coliseum. They get to the car. They're hanging out, and there's
it was Murf's car. He had the keys. So there was 4 of us that rode together.
Okay.
And we're standing there waiting.
So no one sees Murf. Like they're like, what happened to Murf? So he comes back.
I thought you're Murf.
Oh,
This is the original Murf.
The original Murf.
I
My Uncle Murf.
apologize.
So Murf comes running. So he comes running back to the car, and he's got nail clippers and the little thing that like cleans your fingernails out. Like he's got the little thing, and they go, Murphy, where you been, man? He goes, I've been running through the streets of Oakland. We're like, well, what were you gonna do with those nail clippers, man? I had to defend myself. With nail clippers, like really? And so then they go, hey Murphy, man, we gotta tell you something. And he goes, what? And they go, you killed that lady, man. He goes, no.
He goes, I'm going to ride in the trunk. You can't ride in the trunk, Murph. No, I'm going to ride in the trunk. Somebody else drive.
I wanted this interview to be about you guys, but now because we're telling such amazing stories, I hope you don't mind. I'm going to give you a story of my first Raider game that I went to Oakland. I went to watch the Chicago Bears with a friend of mine named Ronald, and then there was another friend of mine named Raphael in the car. We were driving at night for some reason, or early morning. We were on the freeway. I don't know which one, but there was a big haul, like a truck or something hauling a broken down car, but the car was backwards on the tow truck where the lights were in front of us, but the lights were on. So we're kind of behind it with the car towing with the lights on. And then I'm driving. My friend Raphael is in the front seat. My friend Ronald's in the back. I'm like, Ronald, we got to do this trick. So we're sitting there. I get as close as I can without hitting the car with the lights. And then all of a sudden, I said, on the count of three, start yelling. 1, 2, 3. Oh, my God, we're going to get hit. My friend Raphael wakes up from the front seat. He sees the two lights from the car being towed, and he goes, ah! He thought we were about to have a head-on collision, and that was
nice.
The funnest event in Oakland. Who's your favorite all-time coach, Murf and Mosh?
Got to be John Madden. I mean, yeah. I mean, I think that's a consensus for both of us there. And you know, I'm going to pull some hatred, I'm sure, from Raider Nation, but Gruden is right there with them. And not because of this year. I mean, we'll see where this year goes. But when you look at the history of our team, and really since 1983, we really haven't done much of anything except for when Gruden was there, and the way that he kind of resurrected the franchise and the way that he brought the Raiders back. I mean, you know, and I was a kid when Madden was coaching, and, you know, John Madden to me was more the video game guy, the Miller Lite guy. And while I have reverence for his accomplishments as a coach, I didn't experience them firsthand. I mean, I'm fully aware of them, and that's why he's my favorite coach. But Gruden, I lived through. I mean, I was in my 20s when that happened. And so to experience where we were to where he brought us, and you know, I get accused a lot of being a Gruden apologist, as you guys both know. But that's why, is that, I mean, when you look at what he did for the team, I can't not be thankful for still to this day. I don't care if he goes forever for the rest of this tenure with the Raiders, this second time through, what he did the first time through, I'll always have respect for it, because he literally brought us from nothing to something. What do you think, Mosh?
Well, that was a long Gruden tirade to talk about Madden. So here's another story.
All right, well then how about this? That Gruden 1 might be my favorite.
Okay.
Just because I didn't experience Madden firsthand like you did.
Well, here's another story that you don't know, that you might know. We have with Madden, we have a connection to Madden.
Well, Grandma met him. I knew that.
Grandma, my mother, his grandmother, hated to fly. She hated to fly, so she took the train everywhere. And her husband, they were on their way to Chicago to get married, and who was on the train but Madden? So,
and this is like early 80s, I want to say. So this is post Raiders.
But this is post Raiders, and he was going to a gig in Chicago to do one of his things, and they had splurged. They were going to get married, and lo and behold, my mother's very short, little fat Italian woman, you know, she looked like a potato on two pencils, you know, about all 5'4" of her. And she tells her her husband, she's like, go introduce yourself. So he goes and introduces himself, and so he grew. Madden comes over to meet Grandma Jenny, and he shakes hands with her, and she says, I grew up in the Bay Area, blah, 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 blah. And she says, you're going to Chicago? You want to be the best man at our wedding? He's like, well, I'd be honored, but I have a little engagement. It's called Monday Night Football, or whatever it was. He was,
CBS back
yeah.
So is he your favorite? Is he your favorite coach all time?
He is my favorite, not because my mother wanted him to be best man at her wedding, but because he was, as you so eloquently put it, he was the coach during that magic time. And Magic Mikey, he was our man, and he could do no wrong. Yeah, love it.
You said Magic Mike. I figured I got to show a little bit of skin and dance. You know.
Yeah, there you go.
Best Raider moment, worst Raider moment.
Worst Raider moment for me was
this one. Go ahead.
There's so many. There's so many for me, and it comes from anything to do with the Steelers. I just hate them. I hate them. I've said horrible things about people on the Steelers. I'll continue to say horrible things about people on the Steelers. But there was some losses that.
One moment. Get to the moment, Mike.
It's got to be the Immaculate Deception.
Deception.
The deception. It's got to be it for me. I just, Franco Harris, Franco, he's a paisan. Why could he not come and tell the truth? For me, I lived through that. It's got to be.
You know what's funny real quick about the Immaculate Deception, which it is a good name for it. But in today's NFL, with replay, people might say
it never happens.
No, it will. They said you can catch the ball as long as you control it, and it can still hit the ground.
Yeah, but back then the rules were that you couldn't have an offensive player touch the ball first before you catch it. So the ball bounces off of Frenchie Fuqua, which nowadays we would with the high.
It would have had to have hit a defensive player, then Franco catch it, and that's where we got robbed.
Yep.
Yeah, I heard a rule like a week or two ago watching football where the guy caught the ball, and then it hit the ground, and they called it a reception. They said because he had control. And I was it can hit the ground?
Yeah, they say now as long as it maintains control. But back then it was the rule, which is not a rule anymore, but back then the rule was you weren't allowed to have the ball touch an offensive player and then have another one catch it. So my worst moment is by far the Super Bowl against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
That was my number 2.
That was the worst. And all that rhapsodizing I just did about John Gruden, to have him then come back and be the ones that beat us, and not only just beat us, but beat us handily, where it was just, that was off. We were so excited then,
Gosh.
Mosh and I, we had some friends over and had some adult beverages, and it was just such a celebration of Raider Nation that we just hadn't had in so long. And then to have that outcome be what it was during that game, where really the game was never in question. We kind of made it close there in the third quarter, but outside of that, it was really freaking ugly. So
that was hard.
That would by far, that was the worst.
I call that one the boom game. All I have to do is watch John Gruden constantly say, throw it again, and then have John Lynch yell out the play call and tell everybody he's going there, pick the ball off. Then to see John Gruden go, boom! I'm done. I'm done, John Gruden. You're out of here. That's how it is. That's what it is for me. That's why I'm so can't take it.
My favorite Raider moment was just a few years ago. I lost my dad just a little over 2 years ago. And right after his passing, I was home in San Jose. And right after he passed, I went to the Sunday night game, which was the Raiders-Broncos. And it was kind of the Raiders not only returned to, at that time, prominence, but to knock off the Broncos, which is something that we had trouble doing. Do it on Sunday Night Football. Being there at the Coliseum with that green grass against that black nighttime sky, and everybody in the stands wearing black, and stretching out the big American flag across the field, and it was just a beautiful game. It was a beautiful moment. in Raider Nation. We really haven't had a lot of those, in recent history. So to be there live for one of them, and especially, on the heels of losing my dad, which, like I mentioned, I spent a lot of time at the Oakland Coliseum with my dad. So to go there right after that, to kind of remember him. And so that was a pretty special moment. And the Raiders were great that night. They played awesome that night.
Mosh,
and
your best moment?
I'm sitting here thinking, and I'm going, man, there was so many of them. It had to be the Super Bowl in '76. It
The
had
magic
to be.
year.
The magic. It has to be because that was the sealing of my fate. It was the culmination of an amazing run. It was. I mean, I knew I was always in, but at that point, it was a made man. There was no going back. You know what I mean? At
beat
that,
the Steelers that year
and
to get
beating
there.
the Steelers and coming back, because our only blemish was against New England early on.
Right.
So to come back and beat them, in the playoffs, I mean, it was just and we hated Fran Tarkenton, to beat Minnesota in 4-loss Fran, to go and to beat Minnesota at the Super Bowl again, just to watch them lose again.
Yeah.
There it
That's
is.
what I meant. But yeah, so
There it is. Again, I want this show to be about you guys, but I'm getting excited talking about Raiders. So I'm gonna give you guys my best and worst, if you don't mind.
Do it.
My best moment as a Raider is it's got to be that we made the playoffs a few years back. It's kind of because it's more recent, and it feels like my best moment as a Raider fan that we made the playoffs because I finally had my channel. I had fans. I was in the community. I mean, there's a lot of best moments, but that one stands out because it's recent, and I had my channel. And, we kind of lived it all together. We made the playoffs. We're like, oh, my God, we made the playoffs. And after the drought and everything.
Yeah.
And then it coincides with my worst moment. My worst moment is that Super Bowl in 2002 with John Gruden, the revenge game or whatever. The reason that's not my worst moment is because that was one game. The minute Derek Carr went down versus the Colts, I believe it was, every Raider fan knew the season is over.
Yeah.
Even the players were like, oh. And it was like the biggest, worst feeling I've ever felt. Like the Super Bowl is one game, so you're like, oh, it's here, it's done. We had to wait 2 or 3 games till the playoffs. Then we had to get a rookie quarterback play, and then every quarterback got injured after Derek Carr. But the minute Derek Carr went down, I can't explain it. It was over. It was done.
Yeah.
And another quick best moment is possibly when Al Davis died. We won the game, I think, versus the Texans. And we had the 12th man on the field where they intercepted it, where we actually had 10 men on the field. But
Michael Huff.
There you go. All right. Describe this season in one word.
Rebuilding.
Murf?
Unexpected.
Yeah, I'm going to say disaster.
Of course you are.
Of course I am. All right, this is the question. Murph, you've already answered this before, but I'm going to do this for Uncle Mosh. Mosh, has a Raider ever been on the cover of Madden, the football game?
Here's the thing. Yes, I'll say. Actually, no. I'm going to say no, and I'll tell you why. Raiders don't need Madden. Okay?
Madden the game.
Madden the game. Raiders don't need Madden. And let me just tell you this about games. I don't play them. I don't play video games. I play
and you quit, and now we've never played again.
I am undefeated at video games. I have played one video game.
Have you not squished
one time.
turtles with an Italian plumber? Have you not squished turtles?
No,
I don't know what that means.
Or
I really don't know what that means.
Mario Brothers, but so one time we had at a PlayStation game where we did Home Run Derby, and you could create a character. Yeah, you could create a character, and Uncle Mosh made this 9-foot guy on the A's. He was so big, the top of his head went on the outside of the screen, and I'm Mr. like, I'm gonna keep this authentic and I'm gonna use Jason Giambi, but whatever. So he whips my ass, right? And then I go, come on, let's play again. He goes, nah, I'm done.
Yeah.
So we haven't played since. But you play though. And don't give a 17-minute answer, but tell them about your Candy Crush.
I play Candy Crush. I play Candy Crush.
You never played Pong. You never played Asteroids growing up.
Candy Crush.
I played the quarter machines. I played Galagula. I played Galaga. I played Ms. Pac-Man. I grew up playing pinballs. Now I'm into casino sports where I put those money into slot machines. And I love to gamble.
Yeah. Hey, the Raiders are going to Vegas. You brought it full circle.
Most certainly. But I do play Candy Crush. I play a game until I've either become nationally ranked like I was in Llama Duck, which I played for a couple of years, and it was the dumbest game in the world, and that was all I ever played. And because when I play a game, Mikey, I sit in my chair in my underwear and I with Cheetos and I play as I'm watching Forensics Files on the ID channel, and that's the extent of it for me. I got other stuff to do. I like to hunt and fish and go to casinos.
Casinos.
I do.
He's a casino gamer.
So in summary, I asked you, has a Raider ever been on the cover of Madden?
Here it is.
No, you said no.
No.
John Madden. He's a Raider, and he's been on the cover 11 times.
I actually, if we go back and we look at the tape like we could do now, unlike the Immaculate Deception, you asked me if there was ever been a Raider player.
I didn't.
So
I gave you no. Listen to the trick question again. That's how I get people. I said, has a Raider ever been on the cover of Madden?
Okay, hey, Mikey, guess what? You got me. Next question.
I got you. All right. All right. Out of these 4 foods, these are Raider-inspired foods. Which one would you eat as a meal? All right. Derek Carnitas, tacos. Or Reggie, mac and cheesies. The Beast Mode burger. Or the John Gruden grouper.
Okay, so fish is out for me.
Well, see, I like fish.
You like fish.
But I don't want to sound like such a Gruden honk that I'm like going to choose his food too. So, but I love carnitas.
That's 100%. Yeah, because and if the truth be known, we are way more car drunk than we are Gruden drunk.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
so carnitas.
Derek Carnitas 4 to win. Can you come up with one inspired food name off the top of your head, or no? Raider inspired, excuse me.
What did he say? I don't want to mess this question up like the last one.
A Raider inspired food. It's kind of a hard question sometimes.
That is kind of a hard question. No, I can't.
What's darn it! What happened? So with Villapiano. Because there was like the Villapiano's Pizzeria and that one.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
All right.
Okay.
Gruden grinder meatballs. Because he grinds your balls into meat. I don't know. I thought that was.
Wow, that was a stretch.
All right.
Here, I got you. How about Marcel Reese's peanut butter cups?
Marcel Reese's peanut butter cups. It's staring us right in the face right now.
Reese is right over there.
Yeah.
What's your hobby besides Raider football? One hobby that gives you joy in your life?
I hunt. I've if you'll follow my Twitter page, a shameless plug. Was that a shameless plug? Yeah, I don't even.
Uncle_Mosh.
Okay, good. Thank you, because I don't know how to.
It'll be below later during the.
Awesome. I like to hunt and fish and go to casinos. Yeah, I call it casino sports. So that's what would have to be.
There's a video game called Cabela's Hunter, like a big game hunter. It's a video game. You might enjoy that at home. I think you should look into it.
Awesome, Mikey. I don't play video games.
But you said you hunt, so maybe
I
hunt
do.
during the video game.
I get up at 4:00 in the morning and I put on a whole lot of clothes and I go out and I kill things, and I love that.
So basically, you're John Gruden. You like to kill things.
More clothes than
Yeah, I wear more clothes than Gruden.
At the risk of the easy answer, I podcast. Like that's, I've
that has rapidly become taking up
really
a lot of our time.
What takes up a lot of the free time, the play time. I mean, I played competitive softball for numerous years.
And we coached.
I was
We
just saying,
coached your kids and my other grandkids. And I mean, we've done a lot of stuff. And right now, this is what takes up a lot of our spare time.
Absolutely. I coach a lot of baseball, coach football, all that good stuff. Mosh, and he kind of glossed over it earlier. He's a career coach as well. He coached wrestling, he coached track, he coached all kinds of even football and dabbled with baseball. And so, I mean, he's coached a lot at the high school level. And then of course with our guys, with the grandkids and my kids, we've coached a lot of youth sports. So, but now recently, now they're older though. So they don't, we're not the coaches anymore. So now with that free time, it's become this podcasting thing. And I really like it. Growing up, I just loved the idea, and radio's kind of in our family's blood a little bit.
It is.
We have some family members that have done everything from announcing to being on-air personalities and whatnot. So and then the idea of sportscasting and we both like Dan Patrick and Rich Eisen and Jim Rome and have always gotten such a kick out of those guys. So to now take that and to be able to make a hobby out of coming on and doing playing radio by doing a podcast and video cast, that's really the biggest hobby, I think. From a time sink, purely, this is my number one. But I still play video games still a little bit. I still play Madden and whatnot.
All right, let's wrap this up with some couple good questions, and then we got a quick little game, and you guys are going to enjoy it. What's your first Raider memorabilia that you bought, purchased, or were given?
Gosh, I don't remember. I've been a dang Raider fan for so long.
It would have to be a cap. It would have to be a hat.
Probably a hat. Yeah.
That's it. I mean, because that was the quickest and the easiest, and or maybe a bumper sticker. Back, they don't even call them bumper stickers anymore. But I think it was probably a bumper sticker. I remember growing up, I had a big Raider shield, like in my early 20s, when I was in between wives, on one of my bachelor pad apartments. And so, but I swear I must have had a cap. I know jerseys and coats and things like that didn't come until later on when I could afford them. I think my first jersey ever was probably that Gannon jersey that you gave me, the black and white, the white one with the black letters. Yeah. So, yeah, for me it would probably have to be a cap. Probably have to be a ball cap.
I think mine. Now I'm thinking about it. I think mine was a Ray Guy poster. Murf, my uncle Murf, gave me a Ray Guy poster. He gave me a bunch of posters. I had a Reggie Jackson in an A's uniform. I had a Mickey Rivers. I don't know where that came from.
Nice.
As a Yankee, even. But a Ray Guy, and I had a Ray Guy poster for as far back as I can remember. I want to say, I don't know, 4 or 5 years old or something like that. My earliest memories, I remember that Ray Guy poster hanging up in my room. So
Howie footlong hot dogs.
Oh, there you go. That's a good one.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
No, you're good.
3 minutes or 5 minutes later, but good job, Mark. Good job, Moshy.
And you totally missed it.
What?
You should have said, "Easy, hot dog, I'm talking."
I think one time in one of our shows, Murph told me, like, slow down, Speed Racer, or something like that.
Yeah.
Hot Rod. It was Hot Rod.
It was hilarious. The comment section said, "There you go. Way to go, Mark." I mean, way to go, Murph. Way to go, Murph.
I still hear for every once in a while. In fact, I got a message from one of our listeners this week, and he was like, "I love that last episode with Mondays with Mikey and Murph. It was the best show you guys have ever done." He said, "Mikey was positive, and there was no hot rods out of you."
Nice.
If I can give a quick question or give a quick answer to my first memorabilia, because again, I love these questions, and maybe some people might want to know. I actually wasn't a Raider fan till later in life, but the precursor to prove I was a Raider for life before it initially happened, my grandfather picked me up one day, took me to an LA Raider game, and we watched them play the Broncos to go to the playoffs, and they faced the Broncos the next week in the wild card, but he passed away, and that's how I became an official Raider. But a couple years earlier, I think the Bengals were in the Super Bowl. I forgot who they faced. It might have been the 49ers, but they had Icky Shuffle, and I went to the local Kmart store, and they had a little machine where you put a quarter in, and they had football helmets. So I put a quarter in. I was like, let me see if I can get the Super Bowl teams. I think it was the Bengals and the Niners. And I did it, and it came out the Raider helmet where you put the sticker on it. And I placed that on my mantle. And that was my first Raider memorabilia. And then I just started loving the team ever since then. So when my grandfather finally took me to the game, again, it was set in stone. Then I had a poster somewhere with Howie Long. There was an A's player, baseball player, where there were all three of them, and they called them like Young Guns or something. And they were Howie Long was standing. It was like a big like an '80s poster with all the smoke and magic and the Magic era.
That's cool.
Nice.
All right, your first jersey. You answered that, Mosh. What about you, Murph? What was your first jersey?
I think it was either Tim Brown or Charles Woodson. I'm trying to remember because I got them both around the same time. I think I still have it by Charles Woodson. It's a Puma jersey, and it's funny because it's a throwback now, but it wasn't a throwback when I bought it. 1999 or 2000 or whenever it was that I bought it. But I bought a Tim Brown jersey around that same time, and I can't remember which one I got first. I'll go with the Charles Woodson since I still have that one. I'll say Charles Woodson was my first Raiders jersey.
Might have been your first Raider man crush too.
Charles Woodson?
Yeah.
Oh, to like a for real
like
crush on a player?
Yeah.
I love me some Seawood.
Well, thanks to that comment of having a man crush, we're going to play Inside the Raider Nation Raider Connection. It's kind of like Love Connection, but we're going to find out how well Mosh and Murph know each other since they've been a duo for a few years now on podcasting and all that.
Yeah, like 45 of them.
45.
Well, you know.
My Uncle Mosh was my first babysitter.
I'm being polite. Let's start with Murph. Mosh, don't give the answer till after.
No way.
Say he's correct or not correct. And again, we really need rapid fire. We're an hour into this. But Murph, what or who, do you remember the name of Mosh's first girlfriend?
Monica Murillo.
Is that correct, Mosh?
It's my first serious girlfriend. Yeah, I told her.
Wow.
Yeah, she was my prom date. I mean, I had girlfriends before that, but first serious, long-term. Yeah, he threw up on her. Yeah.
Mosh.
In a car. I was like 4 years old now. It wasn't like I was 27 or something.
I can't believe you know his girlfriend. That is insane. That means you guys talk a lot and you learn from each other.
I was living with them at the time.
Mosh, do you know Murph's first vehicle he ever owned?
Oh, you may not know this.
I
probably never even told you. It's a really obscure one.
It's probably not. It's probably. I'm seeing truck.
Yeah.
I'm seeing a pickup.
Yeah.
There you go.
Gosh, yeah, it was.
Brand. We need a brand name. Just guess.
Well, that was easy. That was. Let me think.
Come on, old school.
Datsun. Was it a Datsun?
Yeah.
I thought you would say Chevy. That's hilarious.
No. I almost and I'm willing to bet it wasn't blue.
No, it wasn't blue. Okay, so here's the funny part about it. So I bought this Datsun pickup truck, and it was painted in house paint. Painted like the Mexican flag.
Yes. And there's no blue in the Mexican flag.
No blue in the Mexican flag. No.
Okay, good job.
Yeah.
Wow.
All right.
Hurts on that one.
Murph, do you know Mosh's favorite movie?
Silence of the Lambs.
Do you want me to answer?
Yeah, is that correct?
I'm one of those guys, Mikey. I don't just do a single favorite. I go genres, and that is, if I had, like you, I like musicals, so I'm going to go Wizard of Oz musicals. I'm going to go family movies. I'm going to go Silence of the Lambs.
I can't believe I didn't say Wizard of Oz.
Yeah,
that's pretty bad. You know why? Because we just did a show the other day when we did our Halloween special, and he said Silence of the Lambs. Duh. He's the biggest Wizard of Oz honk on the planet. Like, he's the biggest fan. I can't believe I dropped the ball.
Yeah,
Shame on me.
But you know how I answer. My favorite action movie, The Fugitive, with Harrison Ford.
You love The Fugitive.
So
you love Air Force One.
And I do, but it's not one of my favorites. But you kind of honked on that.
I screwed that one up. That's my bad.
No worries. Hey, you still got it right in terms of the genre. And what was it you cut out? Was it a horror genre? Silence of the Lambs or thriller?
Yes. Thriller.
Gotcha.
I'm not a big fan of new horror movies because CGI and slasher. I want stuff to jump out and scare the crap out of me.
I'm gonna have to have you
know what
on
I mean?
it. I'm gonna do a movie show sometime soon, and you're gonna be on it, Mosh. We're gonna talk movies. You and Murf. That's gonna be hilarious. All right, so Mosh, do you know Murf's favorite all-time band?
Oh,
that's
that's tough because I know that Murf's a metalhead.
Yes.
And I love them to boot, but I'm going to go with the easy answer on this, and I'm probably wrong, but I'm going to go Metallica.
Oh, so you're this close.
I'm so close.
You're so close. It's Led Zeppelin. Led Zeppelin's my favorite band, but Metallica is right there. Like it, and it's kind of like the genre question. It's
yes, because that's heavier.
Yes, it's like what mood am I in today?
Right,
you know what I mean? Like, and it's so I go back and forth a lot between those two, especially as a Raider fan, Metallica, James Hetfield, and all that.
Sure.
Right in perfectly, but yeah. So you're very, very, very good guess. It's 1 and 1A, I would say.
So I'm going to say, if I could summarize who won, Murf, you definitely won. You seem to know more about Mosh. You actually had one more than Mosh, but
I really did screw up the win. I can't believe it's like a known thing in our family that he's a Wizard of Oz freak. Like,
I've directed the show.
He's directed the show
and won awards for it.
Yeah,
well, he said you were correct. He said you were correct for the genre. So I'm gonna call that a W.
That's what old people do. We pass on to the youngsters.
So I'm gonna say you guys are a engaged couple because Murf knows enough about you to technically, in my opinion, be an engaged couple.
That's great. So do we have the cricket button?
All right, I want you guys to give a closing statement, just describing your fandom and what you think of Raider Nation moving forward.
First?
Yeah, I'll go. So when I think about my fandom doesn't come into question because my fandom, like my faith, is personal to me. So no one can say you are a fan or you aren't a fan. Just like I would not say to somebody, you are a fan because you're Pollyanna and you're Joe Positive and you're all this and you're that, or you're not a fan because you're negative. A fandom is like faith, and it's personal, and it's what you make of it. Not everybody. I don't put in the time that Murf does. Murf does for what we do on our podcast. He's the producer. He's the head writer. He's the director. He does most of the show prep. And his fandom is his thing, and that's awesome. That's great. There are other people that are casual fans. Are they still fans? Of course they are. But maybe they have children. Maybe they have a job. Maybe they have whatever. So as fans, we do what we do because we love our team and we have fun at it. And for me, fandom is an enjoyment. It's a process. You go at different levels with it. Stuff may come up and you have to bow out for a while. But it is what it is, and you have to embrace it and say, hey, I'm going to do this. I'm a fan because I get enjoyment. It may not be fun, but you get enjoyment. It gives you something to do. It's something you follow. I watch Pigman, the series, because I like hog hunting. And I'm a fan of that. But I'm not as passionate.
You're not a true pig fan.
But I'm not a true pig fan because I don't go out and stab them with knives. I just like to watch other people do it. But my point is that I think fandom is what you can make it. And some people take it to the extreme, and that's okay. That's okay. We embrace all fans. And my message out there would be, have fun with it. And why are you a fan? I gave the analogy of golfers last week on our podcast, and I'm like, well, the golfers that we know hate the game. They're never satisfied. They're never happy. They complain about every time they play. So why are you doing that? Do you really like it? So we enjoy watching football. We enjoy watching Raider football.
Positive message to end this season for Raider Nation.
Positive message. Yeah, it doesn't matter what everybody. There's 30 35 teams that are going to complain about this year. And I think 31. 31 that are going to complain. I got messed up. 31. I got Mikey all of a sudden. 31 that are going to complain about not being Super Bowl champs this year. And one team that's going to go, oh, we're the defending champs, or we're the new champs, or whatever. So, man, just have fun with it. Take it for what it is. It's a game. It's a sport. Yeah, maybe it's a way of life for those 53 guys on the field and the coaches, but it's not a way of life for us. We're fans. We're having fun with it. Stay positive. Have fun with what you do. Get out there and enjoy it. Go to a game. Watch games with your kids. Eat Cheetos and play Candy Crush.
There you go, Murph. Your positive message and your talk to Raider Nation.
Yeah, I would echo a lot of what Mosh says. You know, I'm a fan of fandom. I'm a fan of how people's fandom manifests within them. I'm a fan of the creative things that people do with their fandom. I'm a fan of the cosplayers and the musicians and the artists and all of that type of stuff that comes out of the fandom of a football team. And the reason I like all that stuff, and I count us in that group, and you as well, Mikey, is that that's personal. But like that, I can control. I have control of my fandom. I can't control what the team does, how they play on Sundays. I can't control who's going to play for them. I can't control where they're going to play. I can't control who's going to coach. I can't control any of those things. The only thing that I have control over is my fandom and what I choose to do with it. And what I choose to do with it is not only do a podcast, but I choose to share it with my family and to hang out with Uncle Mosh and my kids and to watch it. And, you know, my wife's not a sports fan, but if she were to want to hang out, watch a game, she would be, you know what I'm saying? Like it's a communal thing, and that never changes. And so as much as the record sucks, look, nobody likes 2-9. Nobody likes losing. And of course I want to see the Raiders dominate every single game they ever play in, but it doesn't affect whether I'm a fan or not based on what their performance is, because that's not what fandom is to me. My fandom is again, it's that communal thing. It's that family. We talk about it all the time. Raider Nation, right? We're a family. Well, that doesn't change. None of that changes based on where they play and how they're playing. You know, we've got some good friends in the Black Hole and the Black Hole chapters around the country, and especially the ones in New Jersey. And those folks this last week put on the tailgate for the game in Baltimore. Look, that game stunk. That second half of that football game what we watched was terrible. But those people had an amazing time at the tailgate, celebrating one another, celebrating Raider Nation, having fun, that community, that family, and that doesn't get affected by the team. So my message is this: if your fandom is tied up into the performance of your team or of the team, I would encourage you divest that fandom, put it into other places, because then you don't get let down, and it doesn't, you know, again, not that you're always going to like it, but it just, look, it helps. We have fun together every Sunday, no matter what. We're laughing and cutting up and whatever. It doesn't matter if the Raiders win by 40 or lose by 40. We're still having fun watching the game, right?
Well, thank you very much, Raider Nation. I hope you enjoyed meeting Murf and Uncle Mosh. Please tune in to their show, RaiderFanRadio.com. You can also get all the links to their YouTube, their Twitters, their Instagrams, their Facebooks. All that lovely information is below. And after doing this interview, learning about your fandom, all I can say is I guarantee, and I am now qualifying both of you, if I have any meaning to do so, because I am the Raider Nation president, let's be honest. I officially are stating you guys as both 100% ultimate Raider Nation fans, because you guys know a lot and you've been through a lot. I am declaring you guys 100% official true Raiders, so don't let anybody take that away. All right, everybody, that has been today's show. Thank you, Murf. Thank you, Uncle Mosh. And I thank you guys very much, and let's get out of here.